I would say that modern education theory and practice, what happens in schools, is very much orientated towards learning skills, abilities, and forms of knowledge deemed necessary to increase our capacity to act successfully. This is a very pragmatic approach that's concerned with ideals of technological and material success. In contrast, we examine the connection between human nature and human flourishing. We have to do this if we're talking about the character of human beings. And we argue that the only way to understand and build our character virtues is to have a clear picture of what the purpose and meaning of human life is. This means in contemporary schools, education, philosophy, any connection with religion are largely divorced from each other. And truth is perceived as relative. With many teachers and students prefer not to judge between good and evil, but instead they celebrate being open-minded. Rather than judge what is good, they prefer to judge that it is good, not to judge at all. This widespread subjectivism and plurality of opinion make people uncertain about what is true, and they're unable to reach a consensus on questions of the moral life. Now, while there is widespread confusion and skepticism in moral questions, there's also a sense in which human beings hunger for something that will inspire them to live well and to flourish. Now, it doesn't matter whether you have any religious belief or not. Most people do want to live well, and they want to flourish, and they seek this. Unfortunately, our modern society doesn't help them to seek it. There's a growing popular concern for virtue and character, but we cannot assume that this language is in any sense religious in inspiration. So that's what I mean by secularization. It's a moving away from the transcendent, moving away from any concept of an ultimate reality. That values are essentially what people consider to be valuable. Lots of people have different values. People are used to the language of values because our education system promotes the idea that we all have our own values. But there are also common values that I believe can promote the common good, and these require agreement and consensus. So I prefer the language of virtue because it's less relative and it's more solid with a better foundation. Values can drift from place to place and become something very different very easily. Virtues, I believe, have more substance. Character is the basis for human and societal flourishing, as I've been trying to argue, and these can be viewed as two sides of the same coin. So it's basically, you need both. You need human flourishing, which requires material, access to material things like health and welfare and education, but you also need those moral, intellectual and civic virtues as well. Now, today, Western societies are marked by division, confusion, disagreement and polarization. And this is true of Europe as it is of America, and I think it's also true in other countries as well. People seem not to be able to disagree with each other agreeably. They lack harmony and consensus. But these are what we need. We need agreement to flourish as individuals. We need a positive solidarity and a positive social justice in order to achieve that. We need to speak, in order to achieve this, I believe we need to speak to each other more and speak to each other in friendship. Friendship is another concept from Aristotle. He would emphasize that societies come together in friendship. So instead of polarization and condemning each other, it's hugely important that we seek friendship and that we listen to others, even if we disagree with them. Students gradually, and I would say incrementally, become more reflective and discerning as they age, as they go through the school. And every teacher knows that. They go through different stages of development. So ultimately, virtuous living, and that's virtuous character, is the practice of good judgment and intelligent action. So we want our students to be rational, to make the right decisions based on proper knowledge and proper reasoning. This results in increased wisdom. So the more they become rational, the more they're able to exercise judgment and intelligent action, that they increase wisdom.